All right. Here we are. Welcome, everybody, to RUAC Spoon Challenge number 13's Show and Tell. This is our show and tell for the Lydia Latham spoon template that is available up on riseupandcarve.com on our templates page, or our challenge page, I think it's called. And this month's spoon was basically a Welsh dolphin style spoon that Lydia provided our template for. And like an idiot, I did not actually grab the towel. Oh, wait, here we go. Give me 1 second. Boom. Ignore the man behind the camera.
So can I quickly ask, is this actually a traditional, like, old spoon shape? Or
My
is it
understanding,
like fairly recent?
No, Lydia's is inspired by a traditional Welsh dolphin spoon, but it is not necessarily adhering to the quote-unquote tradition. If you read bear with me, if you look at Barnes' book, so in the US called Spoon with 2 O's, in the UK and other places, presumably it is SPON with the long grammatical symbol over the O. There is a chapter in here on the Welsh dolphin spoon, and also one on the call spoon, which we hope to do at some point. Just give me a second, looking for it here. So this is the element on the dolphin spoon, the chapter about the dolphin spoon. And in it, he says, this spoon is reminiscent of an old Welsh implement. Indeed, the design was inspired by a spoon in Jonathan Levy's book, Treen for the Table, in which he suggests that dolphin spoons originally came from Carnarvonshire, where you can see dolphins off the coast. This is another elegant eating spoon, and just as other spoons in this book are inspired by human, animal, or cultural elements, aspects of the design suggest the influence of marine forms. What characterizes the dolphin spoon is the elongated thumb tab, that distinctive flick of the tail, which suggests the dolphin. In practice, the thumb and tab and tail allow us to get quite a large crank out of a thin bit of wood. Because the tab comes out at a very steep angle, you hold it differently from other types of spoons. And it works very well if you hold it right on the end. So to demonstrate, he's saying that you might typically hold it like this. And mine is not quite as cranked, but really, like in discussion, the thing that really kind of characterizes these is this sort of thumb tab, this tail flip, as they refer to it, although mine even doesn't flip quite as much on the end as some that I've seen. And the other thing is this characteristic pronounced hump right at the neck, right? Which I've heard people say is suggestive of a dolphin diving down into like the bowl of a spoon. Some people have said that Lydia's form differs from it in that this portion of the bowl, this steep swoop here, most traditional Welsh dolphin spoons, this is very flat across the top, whereas hers has a bit of a swoop to it. Also, I believe usually it is not a squoval or a squared off shape in the bowl, but usually something more typically, like your standard egg shape or more pointy type of a shape to the bowl. So that is my very limited understanding of the dolphin spoon form. Whoop.
Limited.
And I froze. I hate that. Anyway, that's my very limited understanding anyway of the dolphin spoon form. So before we go any further, does anybody here have any further knowledge or more authoritative references that they wish to talk about the form in general?
There is no greater reference than
All righty. I was going to say, we kind of went to the man, Barn the Spoon. Although, granted, it is an Englishman talking about a Welsh form, but
I think it's interesting though that in that passage he talks about how it's a way that you can put a lot of crank into a thin piece of wood. Because I sort of saw / heard a lot of people talking about, I didn't have a thick enough piece of wood for this, or people starting with really thick blank, kind of like a curious observation.
Yeah, I agree. Well, that's one of the things that I found interesting about this form is without a crooked piece of wood, right? The challenge is getting this part of the bowl aligned so that you almost need to have it sitting like tilted up so that you're not got super short grain across the lip of the bowl. So that you're getting more long grain running the length of the bowl, which then means that this is mostly short grain, but because it's a little chunky and thick, it's okay there. Whereas here it's getting super thin and you almost want to have more of the long grain facing this way, which gives you this weird, like you need like a wide chunk of wood in order to orient your spoon in there that way. Or you try and split the difference, and you try and keep it so that it's somewhat in the middle of it. Anyway, so that's sort of my understanding. So the sad thing here is that Lydia, who offered us the template this month, can't be with us because she is in the middle of a move to Wales, up near the Snowdonia region, and she will not have her Wi-Fi installed until December 22nd. Because of the lockdown in Wales happening at the moment due to COVID, she's not allowed to really try and go anywhere else to get access to Wi-Fi. So sadly, Lydia cannot join us. So we are recording today's session, as I announced earlier. And just fair warning to all of you, mind your P's and Q's. This will be posted to YouTube when we're done later today. And with that, I think we will go ahead and sorry, I'm remiss. The other thing I want to point out is that Lydia very graciously provided us a lovely template for which I woke up late this morning, and so I am totally not prepared. She provided us a lovely template for a pattern for the Kolrosing on the spoon. So since I don't, there we go. Kevin has it. He's holding it up and showing it. So if you direct your eyes to Kevin's corner of the world, you will see the pattern. And some of us, I think, tried to do that pattern. I know I definitely gave it a shot. And then from there, we kind of took that as inspiration and sort of went off and did our own thing, as we tend to do with Rise Up and Carve, which is awesome. That's one of the whole points of this whole thing. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in and let individuals start sharing. So as per usual, I would ask anybody who needs to go early on because they need to get off because they're trying to rush out for other activities. Michael Bray, I'm looking at you as I know that tends to happen. Not this time? Okay, cool. Is there anybody that really wants to go first? Florian, I see your hand. All right, take it away.
So I will stay for a bit, but we want to go buy a Christmas tree soon, so I'm just going to go first. Also, I didn't finish again because I started late again. But, but I'm going to show what I have so far. So also this is done in Poplar, which allowed me to hog out a lot of material very quickly today. As you can see, it's still very rough. I want to let it dry for a bit because I think that will allow me to much better carve around the thin crank and give it a sharper surface and nicer surface. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why I started so late. I guess because I didn't have a lot of blanks that would fit this shape, but then I kind of made it work with the blank that I had already from Poplar, and it kind of fit in there nicely. I think I may have the shape slightly smaller than the template. That's probably due to printing on A4 paper instead of letter. But yeah, it still fit in there. As you pointed out earlier, the short grain is somewhat of a problem, especially around this area here, so the grain runs actually fairly straight through this piece here. Mm-hmm. So I end up with a lot of short grain in the tip.
Yeah.
The end bit is actually fairly okay. Yeah, I mean, I won't put a lot of pressure on it, I guess. But yeah, some getting it like you have a lot of ups and down grain right in the middle of the bowl.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I really like the shape, and it's surprisingly comfortable when you hold it like this.
Yep.
So yeah, overall, I think it's a really nice template.
Excellent. Fantastic job, Florian. All right. Thank you. Let me switch this back. All right. Who wants to go next? Show of hands. All right, Kamal, I see you.
So I did 3. One.
Oh. Cool.
Kind of carved in some
Wow.
felt in the back to fit on my fingers nicely. And I attempted a more, I guess, template-like bird and follow a specific bird and kind of freehanded it. Second one, the first one was apple. This is also apple. Hedgehog on it.
I like turning it angular like that. I have a lot of spoons that are angular and then I have to turn them curvy. You took a very curvy form and made it angular and it looks great.
Yeah. And then the second one, I was inspired by Sean's dolphin on the dolphin. But mine came out more like a shark, but I carved a
Cool.
Wow.
and then I Kolrosing octopus all around it. But yeah.
Wow. Very cool.
Real cool. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like that.
Very awesome.
Fantastic job, Kamal. That's spectacular. All right. Who wants to go next? All right, Sean Miller, you're up.
Hooray. Let me just resituate. See how the light is over here by the window. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yes, I did mine out of sugar maple, some really colorful stuff. I didn't do any Kolrosing, just stuck with a form pretty much. I was surprised by how short this little guy was, actually. I think the template's something like 5.5 inches.
Yeah.
Which I would kind of put into the realm of pocket spoons.
Yep, I would agree.
So yeah, as many people have pointed out, most of my spoons are somewhat dolphin-like anyway. So it wasn't a huge departure for me, although I don't usually do squared off bowls like this, or the handle. It's kind of in a different realm too. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
Beautiful job, Sean. That wood is really pretty wood.
Yeah, this is some really nice. My little brother actually brought this back from Wisconsin on a trip that he went over the summer, and I split it open, and it's kind of all, you can't really see it on the zoom camera, but it's pretty much all the blanks that I carved out of it have just a subtle little bit of ripple. So not really enough to kind of make you stumble while you're carving it.
Yeah.
But in person you can kind of see the shimmer when you turn it. So it was really a really nice round carve out. Unfortunately, I burned through it all fulfilling Christmas orders, so all out. But
Well, definitely post some pics of that, and remember to tag it with the very, very highly coveted KH Grain Challenge tag. You definitely want to do that because you get some major rewards coming out of that. If even the other places, and after all, it is an honor just to be considered. So
yeah, I will
That's
say
the right
that
attitude to have, Chuck.
anybody considering entering the challenge this month, I probably wouldn't even bother because I've got some stuff that blows that spoon out, but that's not even a contender.
Oh
And
wow.
probably nobody's gonna be
I don't
able
know, Sean. I think I got you on this one.
Oh, okay.
Stuff
Here we
coming
go.
down the
Here we
pike,
go.
just
Challenge is on. Challenge accepted.
I love the indomitable spirit here.
Race to second
Challenge?
place.
Did I hear the
Everybody
word challenge?
Everybody who
Yes,
thinks they have a chance, I love it. It's
Challenge,
eternal
challenge?
optimism. The eternal
Challenge?
optimism of Rise Up and Carve.
All right. Kevin, the Cage administration team can send me my sponsorship dollars later today. Okay.
The Cage administration team can use those sponsorship dollars.
Awesome. Fantastic job, Sean. That's a really nice, really slick looking spoon. Love it.
Thanks.
All right. Who wants to go next? All righty, George.
Yes, so the first spoon I was I'm not so crazy about the template. I didn't the shape didn't appeal to me like I want to really do it. So I tried to do something in the way, but more like inspired by the template. Then I thought, okay, I have to go a little bit more closer. So I really find it interesting to work on these parts of the handle and made it really cranky. Then it took me away again from the template.
Ooh.
And then I thought, okay, I really do the template. So, and then I made this spoon. And I never did Kolrosing before. I mean, I Kolrose like a name in a spoon before once or twice. But that's pretty much it. And so after the show and tell where Lydia showed us how to Kolrose, I did this octopus.
Very cool.
And the octopus is great, George.
And
Yeah, I
then I
saw the
made this
octopus on
octopus.
Instagram, and it looks fantastic.
Yeah,
Love
that
it.
is a fantastic spoon. I love what you did, especially with the underside of the handle and kind of hollowing out with leaving that strong keel. That's really cool.
Yeah.
How
And
does it
even
feel
the-
in the hand, though?
Even good. I mean, if you hold it like that, one finger here and one
excellent.
finger there, then it's
Yeah.
and then it's like even comfortable to hold really on the end.
Yeah,
of
like
the
I'm so used to
spoon.
having a finger coming across the thing. So in my mind, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, that's not going to be comfortable. But you're right. If you're holding
Yeah.
it like that, that's perfect.
especially when you point it to you, then it's
Yeah,
quite comfortable.
nice.
I feel like a lot of the problems I have with Kolrosing would be exaggerated with that concave thumb area. So that makes I think the Kolrosing extra challenging.
And I made me some special Kolrosing tools for that. So I was not really pleased about holding the knife like upwards, like in a 90 degrees angle, because from metal engraving, I'm more used to hold the chisel like that and push it with just like the a little bit like the potato peeler grip. So you just hold on to something and it's really more controlled to push the tool through the wood. So I made a few Kolrosing tools and tried dig into that a little bit. So I also posted a picture how the tips look like from really close. And yeah, we are really easy to make because it's just a very little piece of metal you have to remove. Yeah, and that was fun to get into this Kolrosing thing. And finally, I'm quite pleased with the octopus.
Yeah, well, you should be. Excellent.
Yeah, this one is a little bit, yeah, and the first spoons I made radial, and that was really much more difficult to Kolrose. So I made a tangential piece of wood and tried the original bird and flower thingy. And then I carved another tangential spoon, and then that was much easier. So you really have to
brilliant.
Yeah. It's really, you have to really look out to make a radial or just stay in the gross rings with Kolrosing.
Yeah, Lydia definitely talked about that. That was one of her points. I forgot to mention earlier that Lydia did a demo and Kolrosing, demo, where we could ask questions, and she was giving us lots of tips and hints. And that video recording is up on the Rise Up and Carve YouTube channel. So if you do a search for Rise Up and Carve on YouTube, you should find it. And yeah, that was one of her big points. And likewise, I did my first spoon radial, and it was much harder to Kolros, cutting across those grains rather than a tangential orientation. Excellent job,
general,
George.
I think in general, Kolrosing is not that complicated, and that's why it's like really nice. And I think you can do it with any sloyd knife, maybe. So you don't even need a special Kolrosing tool. So, but this radial spoon, no, tangential thing is like really helping to make it much more easier.
Absolutely. Spectacular job, George, man. Really, really impressive.
Thank you, thank you.
And of course, you
really
went and
cool
made
to
your own
see.
tools. That's what George does.
Yes.
But
It's
I like
also
how
really
you-
cool
I
to
like
see
how
how methodical George goes about like trying out the different shapes and approaching the shape like over the course of 4 spoons.
Yeah, if someone wants to try out these tools or is interested in, I can send them. It's really not such a big effort to try to make them. So if anyone wants to try to Kolros like horizontal and not vertical, then just reach out to me.
I like how George is like, I have this thing I need to try. I guess I need 8 knives first.
Oh, come on, Kevin. That is not really a knife. This is just an old drill bit with a little bit of grinding. I mean, you know,
right.
I think that's so interesting that you can grind
Can
it.
you do those with some exotic wood handles for us?
Yes, I could.
Awesome.
Could you give me your bank account?
Well, first you send me the sponsorship dollars for Rise Up and Carve. We're sponsoring George is sponsoring Rise Up and Carve now as a tool maker.
Oh, I don't want to have money for that tool.
I'm joking.
Tools. I'm just if for anybody. I really would like to know if someone who's like doing Kolrosing like a few times or a lot, what he thinks about these tools, if they work, or if I'm stupid. I mean, I have no idea about Kolrosing because it's the first time I'm doing it. So it would be interesting to know an opinion from someone who is a little bit more into Kolrosing than me for like a week.
Yeah, I really like the idea of the cross-pollination between the jewelry and the engraving sort of approach and world into the wood and the traditional Kolrosing world. It's kind of an interesting, it seems obvious on, in hindsight that would make like a perfect, cross-fertilization between the two. So brilliant idea. Very cool, George.
Yeah, I hope they are good as I think.
Okay, who wants to go next? Show of hands. Anybody? All righty, Ryan, you're up. I see you.
All right, good morning. So these dolphin spoons. Yeah, I was excited about this when it began, and now I'm not as convinced. I've had a bit of a problem. My dorsal fin has shit the bed on this one, so we're just going to take this off for a moment and look at the spoon. Yeah, so the decoration, I just wasn't feeling this go around, so that's why they're unadorned, but otherwise. This is the first one I did out of a bit of cherry, and I don't know, it's surprisingly comfortable, but I'm still not sold on this humpy dolphin spoon thing. So then on the second one, which is
Love it.
all Oren really does on his spoons. And here, let me just take off Oren's snail for you.
I was going to say those snails are migrating.
So this one's crankier than the last one. I don't know how well we can see this here, but it's quite a bit crankier and really follows the template pretty closely. So this, I think I kind of got that right. And then I just had a little bit of fun on the backside, faceted it up, and they continue down the thing.
Beautiful.
So yeah, we'll see. I don't know. The swoopy shape in this way and whatnot, I really enjoy. I like that a lot. Tight neck. This was pretty tough to get nice and clean in there. I think we all had that. But otherwise, you can sit there. So yeah, that's all I got.
Awesome. Fantastic job. I absolutely loved your dolphin and your snail. Well played.
Thanks, guys. I had fun with it. I didn't know what to do, and then one day sitting there thinking, it came to me. Plato's the answer.
Brilliant.
So.
Yeah, really funny.
Awesome. All right. Who wants to go next? Wave your hands. All right, Mr. Couples, you are up.
Okay. Made a few of these before, but not as cranky as these ones. And it's a bit of birch. If you can see the thing, and this Kolrosing thing was my nemesis. I say, so, but after watching the video, and that in the back is a little wormhole, and I'm forever forgetting what is on them. So I wrote birch in the back with it.
Nice.
And so it's not the comfiest, but it's really, I don't know, cranky when you see it. It's try to get that in there.
Yeah.
So I think if you had something liquid, it'd fall off. But this is end up using an old Whitland Jack thing, which this isn't sharp anymore, and just used the point and got a lot better than the original that style with a little drill bit.
Yeah.
So Kolrosing, I think, was the worst thing. That was probably took a bit. I practiced, and it doesn't show up very well in the birch, but I was practicing a little bit of sycamore.
Oh, beautiful.
You see, so it shows up, but the birch. So I thought it was just an old spoon, give it a go, and then try Lydia's my interpretation of Lydia's, but it doesn't really show up very well in the birch because it's so dark.
Yeah. Yeah, I found the same. But it still looks great.
But nah, it's all right. But I don't know if we'll be making any more.
Very nice.
But we'll give it a go anyway. But no, that's me finished.
Excellent. Well done.
Hey, Chuck, it might be interesting to do a survey just to ask people what they actually used, for the Kolrosing. The two things I've heard are coffee and cinnamon, but it'd be interesting to see what other people used.
Sure.
Well, that was cinnamon, both of them, but just because the sycamore's a lot lighter, it shows up a lot darker and brighter, but they're both cinnamon.
Right. I guess maybe raise your hands if you use cinnamon. How many people do use coffee? Anybody, any other things people tried?
I've tried paprika, and the color kind of runs a little bit.
I use blood once in a while, but it's not on purpose.
I used the slurry of a linseed oil. So a friend of mine is pressing linseed oil, and she has gave me some linseed oil which was left over from the pressing, and there was like a dark slurry on the bottom of the jar. So I tried that, but haven't really found out if it's really staying in the wood or something like that. So I'm
if we order if we order a couple spoons from you, George, can we get a free bottle of that?
Yeah, sure.
Linseed oil slurry.
Yes.
Has anyone had the problem? I have a problem sometimes where as it's drying or over the course of a couple of days, it seems to come out in chunks. And I don't know if I'm using the wrong consistency of coffee or if I shouldn't be, if I'm doing something wrong with my process. But maybe when it's your turn to talk, if you've addressed that, you could touch upon it.
I'll go next, Chuck, if you want me to.
Sure, go for it, Sonny.
So I'd carved 2 spoons, and I'll get around to Kevin's question in just a second. This was the one I was really eager about and started first. It was walnut. And the funny thing is I carved it. I tried to stay as close as I could to the template, and then it sat, and I didn't do anything with it, and I forgot to Kolrose it. And I'm kind of worried that the open grain is going to soak up all the color kind of strangely. So I like the form. It was a challenge for sure, but I had to do another one in cherry. And this is the one I actually Kolrosed. And this one is a little bit bigger than the template. And I tried to get some nice
shape into it. I did the Kolrosing on Thanksgiving, and it's actually a little, cornucopia. It's hard to see, and it was a challenge because the way the grain was running, and there's some dark spots in the cherry that kind of mess up the crispness of the lines. But I used coffee to answer Kevin's question. I ground it very, very, very finely in a coffee grinder. So I used like regular coffee, not instant coffee. And I think burnishing it after putting the coffee on helped close the grain around it and hold on to it, so it didn't have any chunks come out. I also used the tip of a Sloyd knife. Even though I have a Kolrosing knife, it just is not ergonomic for me. So I took tape and I taped up the Sloyd knife and used that to actually do the work. So it was fun. I don't think I'll carve a whole bunch more of them, but it was an interesting challenge, and I like the extra shapes and extra curves. Kind of gives you something to play with.
Very nice.
Design. Nice design.
Thanks.
Beautiful job, Sonny.
I feel like you gave yourself a lot of extra work by making it a kind of a tight, crisp corner where the handle meets the bowl on the backside like that. It seems like that would be hard to do.
Well, I mean, the whole thing is a challenge. I mean, the shapes on these are not normal spoon shapes, in my opinion, but I tried to get it as clean as I could. It's all knife finish, so there's no sandpaper or anything. There's some little choppy bits, but I was pretty happy with the way it turned out.
Yeah, nice.
Very, very cool. Well done.
Thanks.
Great job, Sonny. All right. Who wants to go next? All right, Bettina.
All right, yeah, as Michael asked about the powder, I experimented with white charcoal for black walnut here, and I need to make myself a little bit, wait, there I can see.
It looks like it worked though, didn't it?
Yeah, the problem is with walnut, you have a lot of pores there, and it also sticks in the pores. I cannot see if it's really.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
I don't see myself. Wait, then I can.
You can see it. Yeah.
No, I see myself. Yeah. Yeah, it's really hard. So I didn't decide to use it at the end because I had a black or a walnut, an European walnut piece of wood, which has the size that I can make this really the cranky stuff there.
Yeah.
And then I Kolrose, oh, my light is not really good. Woodpecker there in black, because I was afraid if I'm using the white chalk, the pastel chalk, that it will be around all in a white background. So I wasn't really, I didn't have guts to do it. Yeah.
I love the way you took advantage of the grain line there as the stem or the side of the tree for the bird clinging onto. That was really cool.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's to use it as, but Lydia mentioned it when she did her video. So, and my second one is maple, which is much more easier to co-rose, and it's with cinnamon. And I tried to make a robin and tried also with really thin lines to
shade it.
Yeah. So, and I actually like the shape of the spoon, and it's really comfortable in your hand, and I probably will do more of them because it's really a fun thing. So yeah.
Excellent job. Beautiful job, Bettina. I know we've talked a lot in the past, on various other sessions about the idea of trying to use a light pigment on a dark wood. The other thing that I just saw the other day that I think it's Jane Mickleborough. She does like a technique where they carve into the wood, whatever the shapes are that you want, and then she'll use colored hard sealing wax. You fill those spaces with sealing wax, and she can get like very bright colors, gorgeous stuff, and then you just shave the wax off of the wood down so it's, you know, smooth and flat on the surface. And
Yeah,
I
Chuck,
thought, that's a really cool technique.
it's a technique called encaustic painting. They do that where you put the pigment in the wax and paint it. But I like the idea that because I saw a spoon of hers, I was wondering how she got the line so crisp. And yeah, the fact that she shaved them makes perfect sense.
Yeah, really, really cool looking. So that's another, you know, another approach to consider at some point if you're wanting to try other colors.
While Bettina's talking, I mean, another experiment I did, because I had a very dark black walnut myself, is I just got a handle of one that broke on me when I do a lot of tests on things, and I painted it with milk paint. I don't know if you can see it.
I've been wanting to try this. Now I'm real curious.
I painted it with blue milk paint, and then I did the Kolrosing. I wasn't real happy with the result. I ended up just doing, and I'll show you mine later, I guess. But
well,
that's one experiment I did. I don't know if anyone else tried it.
Yeah, I've done the same thing with acrylic paint, and you basically incise into the wood.
Right.
And paint
did
over
you incise
it
first and then paint it, or paint and then incise into the paint?
Incise in, then paint on, and then just literally scrape the paint back so it goes back to the wood.
Oh, okay.
Colored line.
Yeah, so I tried something different. I tried incising in the paint to get to go, because the wood was so dark, I would bring it out that way. But that was the approach I tried in my experiment.
Very cool, Peter. Why don't you go ahead and go?
Since hold on. I have a question for Bettina if she's finished.
Yep.
So I found that Bettina always has lots of fascinating information that she's not sharing unless you ask. I want to know, did you use dry wood, and did you bring any tools from your profession into your Kolrosing or your carving this curvy shape?
Yeah, it was dry wood. And so the maple is radial, and the walnut was kind of tangential, but not really, because it's a little bit slide off, because it's pieces I got years ago. And I didn't actually use special tools. For my Kolrosing, I just used an ordinary sloyd knife. And it's here, which is this one. So it's not really a sloyd knife, but it has these really thin tip there, and I can grab it like this, but as everyone do it. And yeah, there's nothing really special about it. It was just, for me, it was, the interesting thing was, are you able to Kolrose like drawing? Then you have the thick lines and finer lines, and if you need different knives for that you can make more shapes, or get your drawings or your Kolrosing pattern more like a three-dimensional look, that it is not so, it's just black and white, when you have just a line. So making more like shapes or shadows, it's more shadows. And that was what my next goal is with Kolrosing, to try to make more shadows and really get a new look of the Kolrosing pattern, like drawing. Sorry.
So I think that's really important, that the tip is like able to do little turns and circles, and it's really difficult to make really thin, delicate lines. So I think you have to really work with a variation of tools if you want to do like shadows and very tight curves and stuff like that.
So speaking of that, I want to just, I might have mentioned this last time, but for those of you that haven't seen, I was the recipient of the Wanderer spoon, and this is a spoon that was carved by Ty Thornock 3 years ago and sent on a journey out from carver to carver to carver. And I was very lucky to be the most recent recipient of it, the 13th recipient, actually. So there's some really amazing work on this spoon, aside from the Kolrosing and the wood burning. One of the things that I really wanted to highlight was the Kolrosing that Riv Chica Warrior, Liesel did, and she did this knife, axe, and spoon. And I don't know if my camera is going to be sharp enough, but you can see in there that the shading that she did is super, super fine lines.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what she used for pigment. I really should follow up and ask, because it looks darker. It's probably coffee. It's probably ground coffee, but I don't know whether she maybe tried some charcoal, type, like finely ground charcoal dust or what, but it's just a beautiful job. So you can get extremely fine with your lines, and get like literally just like a beautifully, almost like pencil sketched level of detail. So, yeah. All right, so were we done with that bit of discussion?
You want me to go, right, Chuck?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and go, Peter?
Okay, so as you saw, I was working with offcuts of some black walnut, so I really didn't have a lot of choice about grain. I made 4 in all. I like the form a lot. Feels really good in my hand. And but here's the one I Kolrosed. I stayed pretty close to Lydia's design here. Tried to get it as accurate as possible. With one little detail, I added the California state bird is the quail. And so I put a little quail thing on that. I don't know if you can see it because it's in the dark part of the, if you look at I posted it to Instagram.
Yeah, well, we'll pull up Instagram and go through the pictures.
Yeah, so this particular one, I had some challenging grain, you can see, but I did 4 in all, and some of them came out a little different. I don't know if you can see the difference in the crank. Whereas this one's a little lower, but anyway, they're all basically the same. And I've got another one I'm going to Kolrose later. I did a little design of my own on this one. It's still in pencil. I'm going to do this one later this morning after but yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really liked the form, and I burnished to keep the color, after I put in the pigment, I used coffee, and I used tung oil, which I think I prefer now to linseed oil. I like the finish it gives. And then after that, you just burnish it and it locks in the color.
Nice.
That's it. And as for tools, I happen to be lucky. I mean, if anyone saw Lydia's demonstration, she used a Ben Orford knife, and I happen to have one just like it. And I just wrapped a little tape around it, and I use the point. I use this for chip carving and carving. I use this pretty much for a lot of my designs. It works for chip carving, letter carving, that sort of thing. And then I have this old awl in my toolkit. I tried for for doing the eyes, and you can actually use this to do circles if you're very patient, because I'm sure a lot of people were challenged doing the little circles in the flowers and negotiating the round corners, and this helped a lot. And then tip of the knife too. And then I tried a bird's eye awl too. This is tapered on 4 sides. And if I tried doing, I didn't see all of George's presentation, but I think if you tried to draw with it, you might get some success. I didn't try it though.
Very cool.
I'll post pictures when I finish the other 4, the other 3 rather. Of course, I want to get more done, but that's me.
Awesome. Thank you. Great job.
Great job getting up at 5 in the morning too, Chuck.
There's also the jewelry tool, which is used to make like little rounds. So you could can maybe do little circles with like a little copper tube or iron tube or something like that, or glass tube or something like that. Which is
what I did with some of them is I just put it in, and I just kind of rocked it and rolled it a little bit to enlarge the hole. That's how I got some of them.
Yeah,
get some variation on that.
Yeah, great ideas. Excellent. All right, who's up? Who wants to go next? All right, Jody, and then Matthew. Yep. There you go.
There you go. All right, so let me move this a little bit. I like doing the shape. It was challenging because I've never made a shape like this, but I think that it came out pretty nice and it's more comfortable than what you would think. I used cherry and I made a little hen and chick design. I don't know if you can see it on there.
Yep. Fantastic.
So I like, tried to get some of the shading with the grass.
Yeah, you did a great job with it.
And then here, this was just the tip of the Kolrosing knife. And then for the berries here, I used like a needle point needle. And I just kind of like tapped it in to get the circles. But I think it came out nice.
Yeah, fantastic.
Really nice, Jody.
Really, really nice.
It's not sanded, it's all knife finish and burnishing. So it's probably one of the smoother finishes that I've gotten. So I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah, you did a fantastic job. It looks great. Can you just roll it over onto its back? I just want to see the back side of it. Yeah, I like how you kind of kept your lines very kind of sharp and angular. I have a tendency to round all those edges over, and which is comfortable in the hand, but visually, I think it's a little boring. I think I like that look that you've got there with the sharp angles on it.
Yeah, I just kind of kept taking it off, and I probably could have taken this down, but I kind of liked the way that it looked, so I just left it.
Yeah, really, really nice.
Thank you.
Excellent job. All right, Matthew.
Yeah. So I just finished one. I can't remember. I feel like I started another. I feel like I started another one and abandoned it. But anyway, so this is a piece of spalted beach that I came across. This is a log, public park that I visited, and the last time I snipped a piece off of it, it wasn't like this. So this is sort of just about perfect state of spalting where the wood isn't compromised at all. Like it carves like fresh beech, but it has the color. So that's nice. And the next time I go back, it'll probably be past,
That is spectacular looking.
Yeah, I feel lucky, very lucky. But I don't even really like carving spalted wood because it is typically, if it's soft and crumbly, that's a real bummer.
Yeah.
But anyway, and I really like this form. I find it extremely comfortable. And I like a keely spoon, like with a deep keel, and I like a little hump anyway. And so this is a nice opportunity to sort of exaggerate that. And I hold it sort of, there's a nice finger rest and a nice thumb rest, and it just feels great. What you were just saying, Chuck, about not rounding everything over, like I rounded everything. This is a real like pillowy looking spoon to me. It's like blunt in every way. Oh, I may have frozen.
No, you're good. Anyway,
so and also part of that is just I didn't know when to stop removing wood.
Yeah.
So the handle's thicker than mine usually is. The tip of the rim of the bowl is thicker than mine usually is.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like a ramp. But anyway, and I like this is not a spoon you can carve quickly. And that kind of suits me anyway, because I take a long time to finish a spoon. But anyway, yeah, I like it a lot. I'll definitely try another one of these.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Excellent job. Well done. That is beautiful, beautiful piece of wood. Beautiful job on the spoon. Okay, Kevin.
So I definitely struggled with the shape, and I think most of it was in my mindset because I had a lot of other blanks in the works and didn't want to start a new blank. So I thought, I'll get this done real fast and get back to my other blanks. And this is not a real fast spoon. And I think anytime you start a shape that's new, that shape takes me forever. And this one, I think, exaggerated every way that a new shape takes a really long time. And I think one of the ways to get a new shape to be more accessible is to use a template. But this spoon in particular did not lend itself to using a template and did not lend itself to even drawing on it, because the curves are so extreme that like you can't hold the template flat on any piece of it and then redraw it. So when I'm using a template, I find I redraw it like 6 times throughout the different parts. And I was like trying to hold it down on the 2 proud parts and draw it, trying to do that thing where you look down on it and get the perspective. It was terrible. And I found that there was like all the different curves, and it's not just these curves and these curves. There's like other curves and inner places where it pinches together. There's probably like 19 grain changes on the spoon, and even places you don't expect a grain change, like coming down the back of the facets here. Somehow between the grain going this way and the grain going this way, I was right on that pivot point, so it would tear out in the weirdest places, and the one side wouldn't behave the way the other side did. So this spoon, I felt like really exaggerated a lot of challenges. So I was in the wrong mindset, and that made it feel like a real slog. And then when I finally got it smooth, because it had that look like I carved this with, you know, a ton of tiny chippy cuts, and it had that look. So I had to spend a lot of effort really smoothing it. And then once I got it smooth, I definitely felt like now it's time to ruin it with my amateurish Kolrosing. So it was really challenging for me to cut into it and to do the Kolrosing, because it took me so long to get it nice. But so what I did was I took I took her elements and I tried to make it from my home state of Maryland. So instead of her bird, I used an Oriole. Instead of her flowers, I used a black-eyed Susan. And instead of some of her other details, I used elements of oak, which is the white oak is the state tree of Maryland. And I was really pleased. I was really pleased when I wiped that oil away that it looked good, because I definitely thought like I was like swearing. I was so angry. I was like, I know I ruined it. It looks terrible. When I was just looking at the cuts, I thought I had ruined it. But I was really pleased with how it turned out. So that, and I was surprised at how it's not that difficult to get lines of different darknesses to apply some more subtle details. I thought that wasn't going to work. I thought it was going to be like drawing when you draw on like early computers, when everything is one dark line and you only have one darkness.
Right.
It wasn't too hard to get the softer lines. Like you can see in some of the details of the black-eyed Susans, I put a small line inside of the big line. One thing is, even after burnishing it, there's still definitely a texture to the Kolrosing that my thumb does not like. And it could just be because I'm a spoon carver, so I always am going over the whole spoon trying to find tear outs and hard parts and then cut them away. So my thumb is accustomed to thinking of that as a problem.
Yep.
I think it would take me quite a while to get used to putting my thumb under it. So I think I'm probably going to give it away to someone.
Yeah, I've noticed the same thing on mine, that there's certain little points. I've gotten it to a point where most of it's smooth, but there are still those few points where maybe I dug in a little deeper, and so the wood is splayed a little more or whatever. It just doesn't feel as smooth. And I agree. I find it a little off-putting.
Has anyone thought about putting a coat of wax over it? Maybe that would help.
Well, what I'm hoping to do is I put a lot, I do multiple coats of oil and I burnish in between each coat. So I'm hoping that helps.
Yeah. It does. It gets better over time.
One thing that I saw was that Sean Warburton and Oren seem to be having their own private contest between who can carve the most ridiculous three-dimensional object onto their spoon. And that just seems like you're asking for extra headache. But then Sean Warburton told me that if I challenged myself next time, that he'd send me a pointless bumper sticker, which I thought was kind of patronizing, right? I thought, like, who would, like I need something extra, you know? But we don't have Sean here, but we do have Oren. And I have a question about how you would carve a three-dimensional, like this deep cut here. Do you need some special tools to get, or do you use a stop cut with a really small saw? Like, how would you?
Ask me in a minute.
You want me to pass it to you?
Yes, I'll show you.
All right, hold on. Here you go.
Okay.
Well played.
I'm not really going to answer the question. That was it. Thank you.
Well, can I have my spoon back? Can I have my spoon back, Oren? Oh, thanks. There you go.
Nicely done.
But back to, so
Oh my
I guess
God.
I'm on my own when I get to that, since Oren was no help. So I will say that even though I had a bad attitude and a bad mindset, I'm really chuffed with the results, and it definitely emboldened me. I did not think I could get such good details and curvy lines from my Kolrosing. I do have an amazing Kolrosing knife. It's very elite and very obscure and hard to come by. This is the Sunny Beach Kolrosing knife in a black walnut handle and a Damascus steel blade.
Wow.
This isn't something that you can get. So I apologize to everyone who is now envious of my knife. I don't know if they're even available anymore, but
So just to clarify, I have no credentials to make anything like that has a sharp bit, but Kevin and I were talking about it one night, so I had to like give it a shot.
I love it. And it's got a rectangular shape, which I notice all other Kolrosing knives are round. And I wonder, I don't know if that gives it an advantage or not. Like, we like octagonal handles, help you to feel where the axe handle is, that kind of thing. I don't know if the square, anyway, I don't find any irritation in my ability to push it. I do try the upside down push away from your thumb that I know Rachel has popularized on Rise Up. And I find that when I try to pull like a pencil, I have a lot of those moments where it skips out of the cut, or it bursts out of the cut, or it slips. And those are extremely frustrating. So with the push away, since my hands and my brain aren't thinking pencil, I think I can stay in a more deliberate state where I'm making really small cuts. I'm strategically planning how every line is going to begin and end, and I'm not tempted to just go quickly because I think I'm holding a pencil, which is a tool that I'm more comfortable with.
That
so I really,
you actually raise a really good point about that with the roundness. I found that using, like, this is a Pinewood Forge, what do you call it, Kolrosing knife, and I have found that at times I have a hard time knowing.
Chuck, is it Damascus steel?
No, unfortunately, it is not Damascus. It's not nearly as special as yours. I will, I bow before the specialness that is Damascus steel from Sunny. But the thing that I found really tricky with this is there are times where I think I've got the knife pointed a certain way, the edge of the blade pointed a certain way, and I start to push it, and I'm off my line, like before I know it, because I don't think I have it oriented the right way. And I actually think that your point about that being squared off could be extremely helpful about knowing exactly where forward is,
Yeah, I found that the most closely related skill to Kolrosing is really using a scroll saw or a bandsaw, where you have to twist the wood to make it go straight. And I have a suspicion that a lot of the skill and experience in improving my Kolrosing will be how good my fingers are at gripping the object, that the parts of my hands that aren't holding the blade, because some part of your hand has to hold the blade and the other part of your hands have to steer the wood. And that's awkward and uncomfortable, but I expect over time my hands will be good at that, and then I can think about the drawing and not how I'm spinning it, if that makes sense. I expect that's a lot of where the improvement will come from.
Another one, when I was on carving or Kolrosing, the first time I Kolrosed to Lydia's thing, which was really like maybe the second or third time I've Kolrosed, I was on Rise Up and Carve with Rachel, and I forget who else might have been on, but they were talking and bantering in the background, and like I was like over here just like totally focused the whole time. And I found like it was probably about a solid hour that it took me to like incise all the lines in the pattern. And I was exhausted by the end of it. I was wiped out both mentally, emotionally, and physically. Just my hands were starting to cramp, you know? So you definitely, like, it takes a lot of focus and energy, surprisingly, you know, to do that fine work.
That could be a point in my, that could be a reason for the frustration too, is that I'm definitely at a point where my spoon carving is getting easier and I'm getting quicker with every spoon. And this spoon got me back into lots of focus, lots of time, lots of stress, lots of high risk.
That's probably the same experience people had when they first started spoon carving. At least it was for me. I mean, you're finding that you're taking a lot of time. It's very exhausting. Your muscles are tired and cramped. And I think it's the same with any new skill like this. And I think that what you're describing is the same thing.
Yeah.
I was just going to make one more comment about the Kolrosing tool you have. Maybe I notice it's round, and so you have no way of really indexing it. Maybe if you just modified the handle a little bit.
Yeah,
so you
I think I might.
holding it, how it was oriented.
Yeah, I think I might.
What can really help is with if you look at like engraving tools. So I have these engraving bowl which you can shift to everywhere and turn around and stuff like that. So, but you probably won't get something like that to just do a trial with Kolrosing. But in all the days, the engraving was often being done on a leather cushion filled with sand.
Well, that's what Lydia, Lydia talked about doing it on like she does it on like in an armchair where she's got it resting on the arm there next to her, and it's soft enough that it'll like hold the spoon in place, like the form of the spoon can squish down into it a little bit, you know, to hold in place.
I definitely.
So a fine leather filled with sand would be really good too, because it's then heavy. And the spoon can sink in a little bit, and it really and if you have that on something which can be twisted easily, like just a board or something like that, which is like really, then you can just rotate it really easy. So
I have this big desire for my spoon carving to stay portable. So I have resisted working at a table or resisted using clamps or anything. So I'm trying to get used to Kolrosing while still holding it in my lap and holding it in my hands. And I found that I was using a lot of times my knee to brace part of the spoon so I could hold another. But if I was doing that, I was very hunched over and like hyper staring real close. So I had to constantly remind myself to be up straight and to be holding it up here, because I don't want to develop a habit where I can only Kolrose if I'm hunched over, and then I kill my back and shoulders over time.
Yeah. Interesting. We really probably ought to let somebody else get in here and share their spoons. Sorry, folks. All right, see you, Sonny. I saw that he has a note up. He's got to go. Who hasn't gone yet is looking to go? Patrice, and then Mike, and then Sean, and then Suzanne. Oh my God. Okay, I'm not going to keep track of this, so just remember the order I put you in. Patrice, Mike, Sean, Suzanne, Kate, I think was next. So there we go.
I think we were all waving goodbye to Sunny, so it was just happening.
All right, that could be.
But I'll go. So I did 2, and I was lucky enough to get some blanks from Michael in Seattle. So they were both pair, and the first one I did
plum
is the one with Kolrosing. So I'm gonna start with the one that doesn't have any Kolrosing. So here's the pair.
Plum.
And I'm sorry. I keep getting those mixed up. So plum, fruiting plum. And so I got it pretty thin here, kept it pretty thick on the handle. And then let's see, put some little scoop marks there. But then I ran out of time to get this one Kolrosed aside from my maker's mark. So that one's pretty cool. And then the one that I'm the most proud of, because it's the first time I've ever Kolrosed. And so I wanted to draw this guy from Edward Gorey's The Gashly Crumb Tinies. And so I made a little creepy skull guy with an umbrella.
Beautiful.
Excellent.
That's so neat.
The
And
texture is great. Getting that texture, the gray texture, that's really good.
Yeah, how did
And
you
I
do
used-
that? Exactly, that's my question.
It's the Pinewood Forge knife is the only one that I used for everything. And I just did little like cross hatching.
Okay.
As you can see.
Nice.
Yeah, it's hard
And
to
how
see.
do you now?
Yeah.
Sorry. I have one question.
Kolrosing looks awesome. That looks really
great.
cool, Patrice.
Yeah, really, really
Yeah.
well done.
But my question is, how do you know how often or how many small lines you have to make? You know, you don't see them if you Kolrose. So when you draw like with a pencil, you know, okay, I need more stripes there. But with Kolrosing, is it that you in between you rub cinnamon in or the powder and then make more stripes to get this three-dimensional?
That's what I did. So I did the outline first with what I thought was shading, and then there was hardly enough there. So then I went back in after burnishing again and then put really fine lines. And then I put fine lines in the other direction just because I wanted to make sure there was something there. And then I put more cinnamon, then I oiled burnished, and then I just kept doing that over and over again until I got layers.
So if you go too deep, you run. And you're doing cross hatching, and you go too deep, you run the risk of getting a chip out. So you have to be careful of that. Is that something you?
I never went far. I never went too deep into the wood. The only ones that were a little tricky were the eyes.
Yeah.
Because I wanted them to
So-
be really black.
The other thing that's interesting, like when you're doing lines, like your sharp lines, like were you keeping were you like, first, were you doing a pull, like a drawing, or were you doing a push?
I don't know how to do the push cut, so
So
all
you
of
were
it's
doing a
pull
pull, okay. So were you
Yeah.
keeping it more vertical for doing the lines? And then were you resting down on the edge when you were doing your crosshatch marks?
I just tried all different things. Like I said, it's my first time trying it.
Okay.
So I would try vertical and then regular like pencil
Yeah, because I
holding
think
of the tool.
for the heavier lines, you probably want to be more upright to force that point in to spread the fibers a little more. And which then means you have to apply a little bit more force because you're pushing the point in a little bit further. Whereas I think for those straight lines, I am guessing, because I haven't really tried the cross hatching thing yet, I'm guessing you're resting down more on the edge of the blade and just pulling it gently across as opposed to really kind of pressing too hard. But that's just my imagination.
I think I did hold it like this and just make very, very shallow
Okay.
cuts on the top where I could barely even see them, but I knew that the cinnamon would tell me.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I never thought of like applying cinnamon and then going back and continuing. Yeah.
Yeah, me neither. That's really good.
Because I have the same problem, Bettina. I can't see where I've been.
Yeah, some people will talk about using like really like almost like a task light or a jeweler's light, you know, and magnification. Like I know Don wears a visor with light and magnification. Yeah, that exactly. Yep.
But I find with this that the light is still too diffuse. It's not angular enough. Like you really need like a strong side light to pick up the shading, you know, of it. This is so diffuse that if I'm looking down through it on top, it helps, don't get me wrong. But the other thing that I find that gets in the way is in order for me to be able to see, the length of the Kolrosing knife gets in the way. So I'm actually thinking, and I think Liesl talked about this, or someone did, about chopping off the extension of the handle so that you have space to get in there and work. Anyway, sorry, Patrice.
That's it. So I did the outline in the evening, and then the next day I sat at my coffee table And so I was really close to the spoon and looking around like the knife blade, trying to see what I was doing. But I did that in natural light, and that was much better than like a task light.
I agree. Very cool. Excellent, excellent job. I'm really impressed. For your first time Kolrosing, that's pretty amazing. Well done.
I missed that. I didn't realize that was her first time Kolrosing. Holy shit, that's really impressive.
Right?
Yeah, I'm working with a ring light like this and a microscope because my eyes are too bad to even be able to see anything. So yeah, so it's a ring light here and a microscope.
Yep.
Then
That is not fair. That is not fair, George.
George was working in the lab late one night.
I have this stupid thing anyway, so and my eyes are so bad that I can't do any Kolrosing without it. Sorry, guys.
Who did I say was going to go next? All right, Mike, take it away.
Hey, everybody. So I made the one spoon, and I did not expect it to be easy to carve, but it was. I found it very easy to axe out and carve, and I couldn't draw the template on it, so I kept holding it over the paper and correcting it until it matched the paper template.
Yeah.
I could not get the crank in it that Lydia does with the blank I had. I got it as cranky as I could.
Yeah.
It's cranky enough, but it's what I could do. And so it was as close to the template as I could manage without going into the woods and getting another piece of wood. This is from a lemon tree that a student brought me in a spoon carving class on day 2. So that's kind of cool.
That's beautiful wood. It's perfect for Kolrosing.
Yeah, exactly. So on the back, I have my typical maker's mark, which is a sort of Kolrosing, I guess.
Yeah.
And what I noticed was when I rubbed in the cinnamon, that it got in the pores of the wood. And so right around my maker's mark, there was like this sort of discolored area.
Mm.
And to make it blend in, I put cinnamon along the entire surface. And because the spoon is so angular, that's a very definite different surface than this or this. So what I did was I just put the cinnamon on that one whole surface. So at least it looks deliberate.
Yeah. I like
I was
it.
really
It
surprised.
actually enhances the showing of the facets. So it's nice.
Yeah, that's an unintended consequence. I had a lot of fun sculpting it. I have a strong side light today to be able to show you this.
Really nice.
So you can see the keel. But I didn't do a lot of Kolrosing on the front. What I did on the front was the day Lydia had her show or demo for us, afterwards, a bunch of us stayed on, and I was practicing maker's marks on a piece of scrap wood. And so I posted this. So you've probably already seen this on Instagram. But it's like all sorts of little marks that I made with the sculpting tool.
Mm-hmm.
So
Your
I
game
basically,
Space Invaders.
yeah. So
nice.
So that's my what I call my belly button guy.
It reminds me of the troll dolls from back in like the 60s with the hair, you know.
Yeah. My sister was big into those. So thanks to Sean Warburton trolling me while I did it, it has a spoon in one hand and an axe in the other hand, and crazy hair. And then last night I got trolled by Patrice and Jody. So they were like, "Well, he could be standing on a stump or something." So I made a spoon carving stump.
Nice.
And they were like, "Yeah, it could have some detail and stuff." So I got in there and I put a knot in the side of it.
I thought that was a barbecue when I saw it on Instagram, that you were barbecuing.
Barbecue. So I failed as an artist. You're telling me I failed as an artist, Colin.
It's a versatile piece of artwork.
So there's that. And just to prove that I have done some Kolrosing at some point, a couple of days ago, I was online with some students and they said, "Why do you have cinnamon on the table?" And I said, "That's for Kolrosing." And they're like, "What's Kolrosing?" So I just did this quick little branch thing
Nice.
just to show them. And I'll just show you what I used for this was like a little lino carving set, nothing fancy.
Yep.
But for the other thing, just so George isn't the only person who made their own tools, I made myself a Kolrosing knife a couple of, like 3 years ago.
There you go.
And I was actually at the spoon gathering, and Liesel was there, the maven of Kolrosing. So
Right.
I asked her to critique it, and she said, "Okay." And she went like, "Well, you did this wrong, you did that wrong, this is wrong." So this is a completely wrong from her point of view, but it works.
Nice.
So anyway, that's my thing. That's it. It's as close as I
Do
got.
you push your knife or do you pull your knife?
What I've been doing is I've been drawing with it like it's an X-Acto knife.
Yeah.
Because I basically spent 30 years using X-Acto knives, and that's just a comfortable feel for me. But because this knife has a slightly back beveled tip, I can't actually see the point of contact.
Mm.
So I have to kind of do it by eye a little bit. And you'll notice on this that the result was that his legs don't start on the edge of the circle. They start inside the circle. So I screwed up. However, it gives it a certain 3D effect. So
it's even better.
I screwed up in the right way.
Happy accidents.
Happy accidents.
Nice.
That was it. That's me.
Awesome. Great job. Okay, who did I say was going to go next?
I didn't listen after you said me.
Sean, and then it was Suzanne, I think. So Sean next, and then we got Colin still. Okay. And Kaylin.
I did two specials, but I thought I'd quickly talk about my knife. I got this Kolrosing knife from Santa a couple of years ago. So Kevin might well have his Damascus steel knife and stuff like that, but this one's from Santa. So
awesome. Straight from the North Pole. Love it.
I did, like you were saying, that the handle on this was a lot longer, so I cut it down because for a while I was using one of those big magnifier things, and it just made it easier.
Right.
So this is just about a centimeter taller than my hand when I'm holding it.
All right.
The other thing was for this one is where's the camera gone there? The shoulders of the actual blade come down quite a way. So when I'm pinching it, my fingers are on the shoulders, so I can really feel where the tip of the blade is, which is quite useful.
So you put your fingers right up on the blade.
Yeah, well, the blade's quite proud
You've got
of
a little more length. That's why. I think mine's a little shorter.
I literally can pinch the blade.
Okay.
But you pull like that, and I do push as well sometimes, depending on what cut I'm needing to do.
Okay.
So the first one I did, I made a couple of schoolboy errors axing it out. So the handle ended up without the flare at the back of the handle. As I was tidying up the underside, it kind of became a bit wavier and wavier. So this is now kind of like a wave. So looking at it like a wave, I decided to tattoo it like it was a sailor. So it's got tattoos all over it. As for the design, I not all of the time, but quite regularly challenge myself to carve spoons without a single flat surface.
Come on.
That one was done. I then did another one, and I had a piece of lime, which or basswood, as you guys call it. Now, I don't have access to a printer, so literally I just looked at the picture on my phone, then turned the phone off and carry on from there. So this is kind of like my imagination of what the picture looked like. Really rather pleased with the way the hump comes over the top here. It rolls into the bowl very smoothly. Not as comfortable of spoons to hold, I find. Quite happy with the way that, although they look separate, they also, when you look at them as a unit, they look complete as well. So the bowl and the handle and the keel all look separate. But when you for the coal roasting, I've previously tried to coal roast on lime, and I know that the grain of the wood just absorbs whatever powder you put in there. So for the first spoon, which is sweet chestnut, I literally carved it, coal roasted it, like burnished and oiled it and everything in the oil. But for the lime, I actually did a couple of test pieces on a blank. I tried coal roasting it and then putting the cinnamon on and then burnishing it. But it just filled the whole thing, just went really muddy. So what I ended up having to do was oil the spoon, leave it in sunlight for a couple of days to polymerize, then coal roast it, add the cinnamon, and then, so although it did muddy up a little bit, it was nowhere near as bad as was otherwise. But yeah, a lovely, I mean, a gorgeous spoon to look at. It's okay to hold in one position, but it's not how I would hold a spoon. So I personally don't find it very comfortable. I'm sure someone will look at it and think that's lovely. That fits them beautifully. So yeah, it's me done. Oh, one other thing. Sorry, we were talking about coal roasting powders earlier. I have used charcoal before. So I was in the woods and literally just ground up some charcoal from the fire pit. It does work as far as, I'm not sure if it was the wood or if it was my lack of skill or whatever at the time, but it did make the whole thing very muddy.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
But again, maybe if I had oiled the piece of wood first and then done it, it may have been better.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's another option of something. If you particularly want something really black,
yeah,
works well.
Cool, awesome, well done, Sean.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. All right, I forget, who did I say was going to go next? Was it Colin or was it Oren?
Suzanne, I think. It's Suzanne.
Oh, okay, Colin, you go.
It's Suzanne. It's Suzanne's
turn. Suzanne, sorry, Suzanne. Where's Suzanne? Suzanne, you go.
Now, okay. Sorry. Yes, mine is lime or basswood. That's just what I had. And I didn't understand the shape at all. So the first try, I didn't take out the wood here. So it's really junky.
Yeah.
Can you see? Maybe like this.
Yep.
So I left it all in and I didn't understand how it works, how the template works, but it's actually quite nice to hold. So I don't know.
There you go.
It works. And because it was such a struggle, I cold roast this dead bird with dead flowers.
Love it.
And then I made another one and I loved making this one. This was really, that was
nice.
Yeah, it was like a meditation. This is much better. It follows the template much closer. It's not really parallel. You can see it goes like this, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll make another one.
Beautiful.
And then-
what is that?
Huh?
What kind of wood did you use for that one?
This is Swiss stone pine. It's
pine,
some,
okay.
some kind of pine wood. It's very soft. It's yes, it's a tree with needles.
Yeah.
Evergreen tree.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was not very good for the Kolrosing because the color, like it bled out a bit. This one was much harder and it worked much better. But I followed up on the dead bird joke and did this one.
It's a velociraptor.
No, it's a dead bird.
Nice.
Yes. I have this, it was like a knife that was in a set. And I did the same thing that Chuck did and just wrapped it with tape so I could hold it. And I put my spoon on my kitchen towel, and I just realized that I don't move the blade, I move the spoon. So I turn the spoon and keep the blade still when I do it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well done.
Thank you.
All right. Now, Hoot, I love the dead bird. That's hilarious.
It's so good. I love it too.
All right, Colin. Colin, you go, then Oren, you go.
Thank you very much. I had trouble finding the right billet for this one. First of all, I had a piece of apple that I'd split that was quite gnarly and looked like it had the right sort of shape, but the hump was actually, oops, I'm throwing it around there. Hump was actually in the wrong place. It was too far back.
Ah.
But I did what I think George did and really undercut the edges here.
Yep.
So that it's really quite a flat piece, just like a flange almost on the side. Really quite comfortable to hold, and around the sort of bowl on it, although that's got a knot in it, which is actually, you can see daylight through. There we go. I need to fill that. So I eventually found a billet the right sort of size and shape. And I quite like this shape. It is very sort of curvy, just like a dolphin. I don't think you did the wrong thing at all, Suzanne, by leaving the wood in here. I think this is just perfect. I think that really does have that kind of dolphin flowing kind of shape to it. This piece of wood, however, has a knot in the hand, right in the bowl. It means you avoid that short grain wood in the end, because actually the grains go in the opposite direction, right across the end of the bowl, which is a bit of fun. But I use, for the Kolrosing bit, I use, again, a beavercraft knife like this. I don't bother taping it. I just hold it very tightly. I've done lots of Kolrosing with it. I've never cut myself yet with it while I've been doing that. I probably will now that I've said that. But I went a little bit seasonal with my design and went for a robin. And you might be able to see this slightly different color on the chest and on the berries, achieved by using a bit of paprika rather than cinnamon.
Ah, nice.
That's really nice.
Yeah, I like that branch too. I like the way you did the branch there that it's standing on.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, very nice.
I use a really strong, so I have a desk lamp on the side, and I've got a really strong side light when I'm doing it. So when I'm cutting the grooves, I can angle the spoon and see where I've cut and where I haven't cut. Because what I found without that is I'll think I've done it all, put cinnamon all over it, wipe it all off, and find there's a whole load that I've missed, and I have to go back over it. So yes, doing it that way suits me.
Colin, did you do this the same to do the shading? The same thing Patrice did? You did it, looked at it, and then went back and darkened or lightened?
Yeah.
Darkened it.
Yeah. So it's I oil my spoons before I Kolrose them. I never try and Kolrose on a dry spoon because I think whatever wood you get, you will always get some of that pigment going off into the grain of the wood. So I always oil it first, then draw on it with a pencil, and then Kolrose over that design. And particularly with one like this one, I'm trying to get some shading in. I'll do the basic design first, and then put some shading in, cinnamon it, and wipe it off and look at it and go, oh, I need a bit more here or a bit more there, and just do a bit more. And that's what I did with the red bits. I'd Kolrose all the cinnamon, I then burnished it all, so it was all closed up again, and then redid the bits that I wanted to be in red, and then put the paprika on that.
Cool.
Excellent.
Nice.
Spoon. Thank you.
Beautiful job. Well done, Colin.
Thank you.
Where am I here? Go back to my gallery view. And then we said Oren was going to go next.
Hey, everyone. I wanted to, can you hear me?
Yep.
Speak a little bit first about, I want to see what I'm showing on the screen. Using different colors. This is a spoon I made a while ago, and I colorosed one pattern first, and then the second pattern. So I took some colored pencils and my knife and scraped and made a powder out of it.
Ooh.
and then colorosed with that. I've been meaning to do another one because it's a very old spoon of mine, so I want to retry this pattern. I do my colorosing with a very common shape of colorosing knife. Just took a high-speed drill bit and put a handle on it. I really enjoyed the pattern. It's a little bit similar to sort of the shapes that I do. I've done colorosing in the past, but I haven't had the snails bother as much. So this
Can you
was
take
my
the
first.
snails off so we can see the spoon?
Probably pry it off with my knife. So it was a bit of a challenge to colorose underneath, like all around, and get very close. So I did here. I tried to stay as close to the template as I could. I did the colorosing, kind of like what she offered.
Now, what kind of glue did you use to apply the snail to the handle? I'm just joking. I know you didn't.
I did take off a bit of the keel. It was hard for me to leave it that big, and then I regretted it afterwards. But I like the shape. I think it's a really nice size and very, very comfortable spoon. And of course, after I did that one, I had to start another one. I had the idea of having the snail kind of erase my work.
Nice. I love it.
That's great.
Yeah,
So I did
that's
it-
a brilliant move there.
That is absolutely brilliant.
I did a traditional weave pattern and had the snail kind of erase it.
Yep.
It's great.
Excellent.
How did you get the Play-Doh to be the same color as the wood?
Exactly. Here, I'll pass it to Kevin and see what he thinks.
That's right. Excellent job, Warren, as always. Really spectacular.
Thank you.
So freaking clever, you guys, man. All right. Michael.
Let me get unmuted. Hey. Yeah, so I don't usually, I do very few eating spoons, so this was definitely a different thing for me. But this is plum, same plum that Patrice had. And there, so what I got on there was, it's a salmon. Sorry, the light's pretty bad here. Just a little salmon, like going with the maritime theme. And this chunk of wood, it's just hard to see the grain. But it was coming out of a chunk that there was a big knot. So the grain, it curves across. I mean, and it's kind of hard to see, but the whole thing, the end of the spoon actually took a little twist as it was drying. But fortunately, if you hold it this way, it actually, the twist works in your favor. So holding it just like that, the twist works in your favor. So like I said, eating spoons aren't my typical thing, but the kolrosing, definitely my first time kolrosing. I think what I think I might do in the future is maybe not so much on the spoons, but maybe on something else. Start doing some of the geometrical patterns that really meshes with my trained as a mathematician and actually worked a lot with tilings and stuff. So the geometric patterns have just a huge amount of appeal to me. So that's probably where I'm going to go with the Kolrosing. But yeah, no, really fun project. It's kind of, I do like, one of the reasons I really do like this is it, gets you out of your shell doing something you wouldn't normally be doing. So really appreciate it. And, I think it's great.
Awesome. Fantastic job. Thank you. I'm looking forward. Is that some of the same plum that you sent me?
Yes, it is the same plum that you got.
Okay, cool. I'm looking forward to trying that.
With the geometric pattern side of things, it's really interesting if you look at the Japanese house emblems from the Heido area. They have like all sorts of geometry in them. That'll be cool.
Yeah, check that out.
Very cool. All right. Kaylin.
So when I was working on these, I'm also learning how to axe well. And so what I did is I used this as an opportunity to practice axing by doing 2 at one time. 1, because they're very small form, so I wanted to try and keep my fingers away, but then 2, to really work on this little double wave. I ended up cutting a lot of stop cuts into the bowls just to try and be careful there. And I couldn't necessarily tell if the template was supposed to hover over the spoon or if it was supposed to dip in as we were carving it. So I did 1 bowl dipped in, 1 bowl straight. And so they're a little bit different lengths. And then one of them I ended up with a bit more crank, which is, I guess, creative to the pattern. And then this one's standard to the pattern. And then when I was carving them, I wanted to really try and get some finesse here. And this one I left a little chunkier. This one I got a bit thin, and then I got it too thin and ended up breaking off the sides. So the front profiles are quite different. This one's my very delicate, delicate dolphin spoon. Pinkies up when you're eating with it for sure. But I found these really comfortable to hold. I don't think I really understood the shape while I was carving it. I was like, what's the point? Why are these curves here? But when I actually got around to holding the spoon and mimic eating with it, because I haven't eaten with them, it is quite comfortable and really, really lovely. So I enjoyed it a lot. The Kolrosing, I did a few different ones. This one, a few friends of mine and I go out to see the sandhill crane migration every year. So you'll see like a good 3,000 to 5,000 cranes. So this is a sandhill crane on the front, kind of doing a call up. And then on the back, it's a bunch of teeny tiny cranes, like you see them in the sky.
Nice.
And so I did that there. And then the other spoon had quite a bit of spalting in it, and it wasn't pretty spalting. It's just like making the spoon look a little dirty. So the Kolrosing doesn't show through very well, but Lydia does a really nice circular dot pattern with more nature sketches. And so I've got the dot circular pattern with a couple maidenhair ferns kind of rolling through. But Lydia did tell us to do the dots with the end of a nail. And I was like, I can get away with using my Kolrosing knife. And you really can't, because they're not dots, they're little dashes. And I'm a bit disappointed that I was lazy in that piece of her because now all I see are the dashes and it's driving me crazy. But it was a really fun exercise. I enjoyed the form a lot. I think I would try these more, but maybe not in a pocket spoon. I'd try to like stretch out the handle a bit to make it.
Yeah, I've had the same thought.
Because I think that would be really fun. And I know there's a lot of people like Dave the Bodger does some dolphin inspired, but
right
styles. So I'm excited to try those out as well.
Excellent. Fantastic job. I love that you did the crane. My middle name actually is Crane. And I am in fact related to Stephen Crane, who wrote The Red Badge of Courage. So it's funny that you did that, because that was one. I had 2 thoughts of what I was going to try. I was going to try a crane because he was a real estate agent, my grandfather, and so he always had a crane bird as his logo, his symbol. And then the other one that I wanted to try was the holly leaves, which Colin ended up doing, which I thought was a brilliant thing for this time of the year. So well done, excellent job, Kaylin. All right, who has not gone yet? Kate.
Hiya. Should I go?
Yes, go.
Okay. Well, I axed out my spoon a couple weeks ago, and then it like died on me, and I wasn't able to start a new one until yesterday at 2 p.m., which was like 15 hours ago. So I busted it out in a piece of alder, which is, it's still really wet. So I felt like it still has quite a bit of finishing to do on it. But I don't know. I'm like, I think I'm having a struggle time with carving anyway, you know, and then trying to carve this during, like, this is not working. So it's okay. But I just was like let's just add to my like difficult carving situations. But anyway, it's okay. It's gonna be fine, and I will post it when I Kolrose. I don't know how Kolrosing alder will be, but I'll try. Anyway, just to distract from my crazy spoon, I have a little song, and I don't know, I'll go really fast. Is it okay, Chess? Not to Rain on Hanukkah's Parade, which I know it's on like last night. I don't know. I only have 2 hours of sleep, so I'm like, is it the third day now? Third night of Hanukkah.
Third day.
Third day.
Yeah, third. Anyway, sorry, this is a Christmas song, but anyway, it's called the 12 Days of Sloidmas. And I will not go through all of them, but you know, the whole entire song, but you'll get to hear all 12. So here we go. On the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me a limb from a neighbor's pear tree. On the second day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 2 chopping blocks and a limb from a neighbor's pear tree. On the third day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 3 Sloyd knives, 2 chopping blocks, and a limb from a neighbor's pear tree. On the fourth day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 4 comfort birds, 3 Sloyd knives, 2 chopping blocks, and a limb from a neighbor's pear tree. On the fifth day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 5 pocket spoons, 4 comfort birds, 3 Sloyd knives, 2 chopping block, and a limb from a neighbor's pear tree. Okay, I'm gonna fast forward. So on the 12th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 12 shrink pots drying, 11 chip carved eaters, 10 roasted cookers, 9 pole lids turning, 8 spoon mule blueprints, 7 swan neck gouges, 6 carving axes, 5 pocket spoons, 4 comfort birds, 3 Sloyd knives, 2 chopping blocks, and a limb from a neighbor's pear tree.
Yay! That was excellent.
That's all I had.
I hope you post those lyrics. That's spectacular. That gives Spoon Template number 9 a run for its money.
Good.
Yeah, I will post the lyrics.
Awesome. Well done, Kate. I love it.
Good job.
All right. Who else has to go? All right. We've got Chris. We've got Sean. Is that it? Craig. Sorry, Craig. Yep. So
No worries.
Chris, let's do Chris, Craig, Sean.
All righty. Hello. So yeah, I carved 3 of them. I really like the design, and coincidentally, I had just finished watching Lydia's interviews with Barn the Spoon on his Spoon Club site right before this template was announced. So I was super excited that that worked out that way. So the first one I did was cherry. Sorry, I've never done show a spoon on an iPad before. I really like the design. The grain was such, I didn't know if Kolrosing would work out all that well. So I didn't actually Kolrose this one. So then I did a couple just regular hard maple ones. And you know, and at first did her design, and seemed to work out okay. And then I certainly was not brave enough to try to carve a dolphin onto a spoon. So I just drew a dolphin onto a spoon, and
Nice.
with last name of bear, you know, I always thought try to toss a bear on there somewhere. So I had a bear riding a dolphin, and so those are my spoons.
Spectacular. Excellent job. I love it. By the way, you need to acquire, I think, a few more hand planes. You don't have enough back there. Awesome job. And is this your first time on?
It is. Yep. And well, I
Excellent.
did join the, you know, when Lydia did the Kolrosing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Production, but otherwise, this is my first time. So thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, we're very glad to have you with us. Thank you so much.
Glad to hear the story of why the bear was riding the dolphin.
Yeah. My grandfather, who actually had all those wooden hand planes, every time he sent a little greeting card or gave a book or whatever, always, you know, drew one of those little bears on there. So that's where that came from.
Awesome. Fantastic. Love it. All right. Well done, you. Craig.
All right. Hi. I also did two. They're behind me here. One of them I haven't finished the Kolrosing on because as I was starting to pencil the pattern in, I realized, so I don't know if you can see, this is this one's going to a friend who is a serious Lord of the Rings nerd. So I got another Lord of the Rings nerd to help me figure out what to do for the pattern on it. And it's a, what's the name? It's not Dwarvish. It's the like lingua franca of Middle Earth for the word friend.
Okay. Yeah.
And then a couple of other, you know, pattern pieces from the Lord of the Ring runes across the top. But I realized if he's a righty, it wants to go like this way so that it reads in your hand, I feel like.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to establish whether the friend it's going to is right or left-handed.
There you go.
Before I actually carve that in permanently. So it's just the word on there in pencil right now, but that's the like intended design, which will likely have to be erased and flipped.
Awesome. Well, I too am a Lord of the Rings nerd and fan, and so I am. It warms my heart to see that. Awesome.
And this one's applewood, and this one I didn't quite have quite enough wood to get as much of a profile to the crank as I did in the other one, which is in maple, and I feel like that one actually holds the pattern's crank quite accurately. But it's this very spalted maple. And I did this just little, the spalting had a design like in it that sort of looked like a horizon and a mountain over here in the bowl. So I accentuated it with the sun and some trees. Hashing arrow from the running club we're in, and the little birdie over there.
It also it looks like a beach scene almost, because with the grain looks like it's forming some waves in front of it.
Yeah, exactly. It's a like little beachy horizon, and so on this blank part of the sapwood here, I managed to get the whole scene in there and a couple of stars up in the night sky, which I'm not sure.
Brilliant use.
It's really clever.
Great choice.
Really nicely done.
Yeah, so this one's actually finished and carved, and I like this one quite a bit better. The spalted wood made it really tricky. I had to break out some sandpaper in the middle of the bowl there because it was just like, you know, a little spongy.
Yeah.
No matter what I did with the knife, it left it rough, but it feels really good now that it's oiled. I think it'll hold up well.
Spectacularly well done. Really great job. Love it. All right. Excellent work. Where am I here? So I think we have, who has to go still? Is it
Sean?
Is Sean? Oh, and myself. Before Sean goes, because there's just no going after Sean. I am not following Sean. So I did 4 spoons. I've got the first one that I did, I tried to hold pretty much to the template. I think I've gotten pretty close to the side profile matched with the template. And yeah, as everybody has said before, it's a challenging shape to carve. I really like it. It definitely gets tricky in these tight spots in here. But I love it. I am absolutely in love with dolphin shape. Although for my other spoons, I went more with the rounded as opposed to a squared off bowl, because I just tend to prefer more rounded bowls. But I really was pleased with the way my first attempt at doing the Kolrosing on the handle came out. Although I think I left my bird seems a little bit humpbacked, but other than that, I was pretty pleased with it. And unfortunately, it's on this bit of spalted birch, so the pattern kind of gets lost, I think, a little bit on it. Birch is, at least this birch anyway, being a little older and spalted, I don't think it's the best wood choice. But yeah, I love the form, love the hump. It feels great in the hand, and I actually used it this morning to eat breakfast, and it works beautifully.
It's great.
So then I decided to go with again, a rounded bowl shape, more of your traditional egg-shaped bowl. This one is slightly less cranked, but it still has a pretty solid crank to it. I left this one chunkier through the back in here. The first one, I think I kind of slimmed it a little bit. You see it kind of comes up under here, so the line doesn't continue across. So this one I tried to stay a little bit truer to the template and keep it a little chunkier. But then on this one, I decided to try and do my own. I went with a cardinal, you know, on a branch with, you know, my own sort of form of flowers and some leaves. And I was really pleased with the way it came out. I also added a little ball finial on the top. So I was really happy with this. As you can tell, I've carved so many of these now. I'm
State
really...
bird of Illinois, by the way.
Ah, yes.
Brian,
excellent.
you get rounded.
So then I tried one in black walnut, and this one I had it was a smaller piece of wood. I just had no room to get the real crank in. So it's much flatter, not nearly as pleasing in terms of the more extremes, you know, of the hump and the shape. But I love the piece of wood. I was debating whether to try Kolrosing it, but again, that open grain in there, I'm not sure if it's going to get just real muddy if I try to Kolrose it. So
what species is that, Chuck?
Black walnut.
Black walnut. Okay.
Yeah, but it's a pretty piece of wood. I enjoy it. Tony Gittner, Colvin reached out to me and was originally going to buy it, and unfortunately, while I was in the process of carving this, I ended up having to change the bowl. It was originally a fairly large bowl, and then I ended up with a split. A crack appeared in the very end of the bowl, so I had to cut quite a bit of the end of the bowl away to get behind the crack. And even then, later, I came to find that there was a crack still coming in the handle. So, but it's chunky enough that it's not going to go anywhere. So I'll just hang on to it and have it as a little, you know, spare pocket eater. And then this is my most cranked version and my most extreme of the dolphin. And this one's still in progress. So this is also in black birch. And I'm really having fun with the super swoopy, you know, form of these spoons. I really finding it a lot of fun to play with. But when it comes to trying to eat with it, I have noticed that if I try to use this, if I try to get back to the back of the bowl, I'm definitely whacking into my nose by the time I'm trying to pull it out. So I don't know, we'll see.
Give it to someone with a small nose, Chuck.
There it is. So yeah, so then in terms of the Kolrosing, absolutely loving Kolrosing. I like Colin, I'm using a Beavercraft. I wanted to get one of the Ben Orford knives that Lydia was talking about, the small pick knife, but it was going to be like $70 by the time I got it here, you know, from the UK, and shipping was crazy and all that. So I was like, you know what, I'll go try this Beavercraft. It's pretty close in shape anyway. And it was $20. So I decided to get that and give it a shot. It's definitely not a fine knife, but for Kolrosing, where you don't really, I'm not that worried about it being a super keen edge and all that, it worked great. So I love that. And I do like my Pinewood Forge Kolrosing knife. So that was my journey into this template number 13. So now for the pièce de résistance. Where'd he go? Sean, come on.
Yeah. So, being Welsh and dolphin spoons originating in Wales, I couldn't help myself but do a dolphin spoon. So, did the profile shape the same, but I didn't actually look too much at that profile shape, so it's slightly different. But ended up doing the dolphin on the top anyway, and then I've coal roast the anchor and rope on it, and some swirls for the waves. That's a piece of cherry that was half-half, so it was split half sapwood, half heartwood.
Beautiful.
I found that rolling the ends round here worked really well for sitting on and then holding the dolphin. So the angle was quite nice on that one.
Excellent.
I liked it so much that I decided to try and do a bit more of a dolphin on. So this was like the sketch that I did straight after I finished that one. But rather than use Lydia's shape, I've got a template up for my stuff because I got templates that I have like the handle and the bowl separate. So I just flip the bowl around and put that on. So I had this really awesome ash crook that just sort of went like that. It just came down and swooped really drastically, and I ended up doing this one.
Wow.
So that was like the shape of the branch. It's awesome quilted ash. It's got like this quilting going across the middle there. I don't know if that'll come through all right or not.
Did you carve all the way through for the nose of that dolphin? There's a space underneath it, isn't there?
Yeah.
Holy shit, that is crazy.
That could have been cool if you'd applied yourself more.
Yeah, sorry. Try better next time.
Oh my God.
So in true Lydia style, I also rubbed cinnamon into the grain because it works really well with ash. So it's picked up all the layers of the, and then it's also got the quilting across the top of his head.
Yeah.
Pretty.
And then I thought I'd do the tail in the water as well.
Nice.
Textured with a small palm gouge and then watercolor painted.
It's a great effect.
The flute and black as well.
Just brilliant, Sean.
That is freaking spectacular, my friend. Holy crap.
Awesome. I see why you didn't want to follow that up, Chuck.
Right? I'm like, come on. Yeah, Sean, man, you definitely get the prize for bumping this up several notches. I mean, Oren's pretty spectacular with his snail and his erasing the Kolrosing pattern. That's pretty spectacular. But a Welshman carving a three-dimensional sculptural dolphin spoon, I'm sorry, but for me, that just takes the cake. That's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Thank you.
Listen,
get my Play-Doh and copy that right now.
Right. I gotta say, Ryan, when I saw that, I lost it. I absolutely lost it. I was like, freaking brilliant. That was spectacular. So listen, despite all the superlatives and all the amazing work, everybody, I am just so thrilled and happy at how these spoon challenges are kind of pushing everybody, and everybody just kind of jumping in, giving things a go, putting your own twist on them. Everybody has done just a spectacular job, and I am just beyond grateful that so many people are taking part and having fun with this. And super huge thank you to Lydia, who couldn't be with us because of her Wi-Fi situation today, but she sends her regrets, and I told her that we would tape this, so we have been recording this. It will be posted up to YouTube. But Lydia really went above and beyond in terms of providing the Kolrosing pattern for us, aside from just the template itself, and doing a demo. So when I post this up to the Rise Up and Carve YouTube channel, if you haven't seen it yet, be sure to go and watch her Kolrosing demo, where she walked us through sort of a brief demo and a bit of a tutorial on how she does her Kolrosing. And so she really, again, went above and beyond for this challenge. So the other thing that I want to just mention before I stop recording on here, we've already been going now for 2 hours. Normally I would go through the Instagram hashtag and display every spoon, and I think we will I'm going to go ahead and do that for anybody that wants to stick around. I just don't think I'm going to record it all because this is quite a long recording as it is. But I do want to announce that our next challenge has been posted. This is not your normal Rise Up and Carve template challenge. There's not actually a form for the template. Sunny came up with a great idea. This is not a K Holler grain challenge, but it is a grain challenge in terms of understanding grain and how to take advantage of it in decorating or setting up the patterns in your spoon. So if you go up to riseupandcarve.com and jump onto the challenge page, it's posted up there now. There's a PDF. We will do a show and tell for anybody that wants to participate in that. It's free form, design your own spoon that best takes advantage of the wood, whether it's in your grain orientation, tangential, radial, whether it's using a crook. That's the gist of the challenge, is just to play with grain. And so then we will do a show and tell for that on January 9th, I think it is, right? That's the week after the New Year's weekend. So it'll be Saturday, June 9th, 8 a.m. Eastern time as usual. I'm also toying, I haven't decided yet, but I'm thinking we might do this. Andreas from the Netherlands came up with a great idea the other day about doing a New Year's special edition of Rise Up and Carve, a blend of show and tell with kind of a recap of the past year, where anybody who wants to participate could bring their best, couple spoons, the ones they're most satisfied from their carving over the past year, and show their favorite spoon that they've carved over the course of the last year, and then to set sort of some intentions or some goals for the new year. What is it you want to accomplish with your carving in the new year? So I think we might do that on January 2nd. At least it's not the day after it's the day after New Year's Day as opposed to New Year's Eve. So anybody that are partying hardy on New Year's Eve, hopefully you could still make it for that Saturday, January 2nd. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll announce it and put it up as a post. So with all
the family
that,
friendly, is the family friendly thing still going?
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you. God, not having little kids anymore. I'm just not, my head just isn't in that space. Yes, we are doing the family friendly Rise Up and Carve session next Saturday at, I think it was 9 a.m. Eastern, if I'm recalling. There is a post up on the Rise Up and Carve site about it, or actually on the site. No, not on the website, on the Instagram. There was a post up that Matt Day posted about it. This was Matt Day's, I think, brainchild, pulled it together. So this is he's got an activity that is kid-friendly. It's basically carving large bead-like forms. So it is wood, it is carving. So anybody that have kids and you want to involve your family, this will be a special RUAC session on the Rise Up and Carve Zoom channel next Saturday morning, starting at 9 a.m. I think that's it. Am I forgetting anything else? I probably am, but it doesn't matter. All right. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to stop recording now